Okay, so if we're looking here at setup, I've put that blue line on these two situations to kind of showcase where you're going to get to again. And as much as it feels to you a massive change as if you're moving a mile left, you are moving, but it's probably such a small amount that without putting the line there, you probably wouldn't see it as much. Okay, so setup-wise is good in terms of that, just a bit more lean over the ball. Not massively, but just getting a little bit more spine angle tilt, finding that sweet spot in terms of distance from the ball. So what I would always suggest is put the golf club down first and grip, creating that spine angle lean to the golf ball, and then you set your feet around that. Not go, but I'm here, lean forward, or I'm too close, or I'm too far now, and then you're sort of shuffling around, never able to try and find that exact spot. So if you build the setup through that process of club, grip, posture, and then build your feet, you'll probably be more successful. Okay, so the right hand one here now, which you before, same good rotation. As I had a little bit of sway off the ball there because of that posture, moving a bit of height. Now, as you start coming back to that blue line, you start moving here, but now you're starting to sort of move up and popping up, and the impact is about there. You can see your hand now probably roughly about the middle there. So not really near that blue line, adding a bit of loft and the potential for that club to flip over, okay? And you see your left pocket is just about kind of gone through that line there, as we can see. So this is the sort of after one. Now you can see that sort of shift into the wall there. So even now you move further to the left than you had on that one, haven't you? Okay? And then in terms of impact, I think it's the next... Oh, too quick for me. There you go. There's your next frame. So your hip's gone through that line, the shoulder's on that line there now, and probably... maybe that's a little bit to the right, but that's roughly kind of... There's probably more there, if I'm honest. But it's at least on the ball, yeah? Rather than being too far behind. And just in general, sort of the peak of your cap doesn't look quite sort of twisted this way. You're moving a bit more in that direction. The right foot's off the ground. That right foot's a little bit flatter. You're moving a little bit more towards target this way. And then you're releasing the body through. Weight now is finishing a lot more on that blue line. Whereas this one now, by that kind of pop-up, you can see aiming even further back now. And then kind of coming through at the end. And again... spot the difference? Yeah. So the creased toes there is just you putting a bit of weight on that to try and support it, only because your weight hasn't quite shifted onto that left side enough. So it's moving to the left. I think I would practice from your point of view. You can use obviously in the house when you're off working, using that blue line there as a mark into the wall. Obviously doing it very slowly, moving it in the wall with the hip and the hands. We don't want to just sort of slouch into the wall. We're just moving the hip and the hand into the wall there, getting them on the wall before the club head gets there. The other one I would also suggest as well, put the club there with the hands in the middle of the body, and then drag the club along the ground, almost like trying to bend the shaft, pushing it in the ground there, because that will give you a good kind of feeling of kind of that motion of how you kind of almost swinging a bit more downhill in the golf ball as opposed to this popping up. But so that popping up came from the need to do it. If you didn't pop up, you'd hit the ground so far around the ball, you'd either hurt your wrist or just fat it all day. And it just, you kind of create a movement. Okay, this stops fatting. You pop up. If you pop up too much, you thin it, or have the potential to hook it with more lofted clubs, your 8s, your 9s, your wedges. It just goes high with a 6 and 5 and the hybrid club becomes more of a hook potential. Now you can still have your hands behind the golf ball just because of your abilities, hands back here and have the club face square or closed. But it's more likely with the momentum of the club coming round the corner, it's going to want to close. That's just physics and stuff. So you're then fighting physics, which is never an easy thing to do in the first place. They kind of have sort of black and white laws, and what's going to happen is going to happen unless you kind of manipulate against that. And again, that's where the kind of, I guess, the inconsistency of the big numbers to go 4, 3, 5, 8, 10 is a sign that there's a lot. When it's good, it's very, very good, and when it's wrong, it's like, oh my word, where's it going to go, kind of thing. I'd rather, in some ways, you go 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, or even 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. Probably would have been less of a score, but no good on the par 3. But at least have a lower score consistently over the 5 holes, rather than kind of a real big number on one hole. That just, again, mentally and psychologically, I was like, oh god, here we go. You walk that next tee, and invariably it's a long walk to the next tee on the 6th hole through the tunnel, and going, bloody hell, it's ruined a good start. So most 4-letter words get chucked out of the way.
I just have to still come in under 100.
And in some ways, I always take the positives from that. That's a good sign. You've come back from a disaster to make a good recovery into a reasonable score. But yeah, as I say, you want to try and avoid that where you can. So if you see some shots going a bit to the right, that's fine. Hands are just a bit more in front, or your mechanism to try and open the face when the hands are back here is still there, because it's not going to disappear straight away, because you've always seen that ball hook into the left and fighting that. So rather than try and fix the fault or try and cure the fault with another compensatory movement, move the body better. But I think setup wise, where it all starts from. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Grip it looser.
Yeah.
Okay, then we can move this and this towards target. If you're locked in the grip, when you try and bring the golf club back down, it's just going to be all sort of very wooden position. You'll then seize up and stop, and your hand just flip and left it goes. So
do you know with the hybrid now?
Yeah.
So stance-wise, everything on swing,
exactly
like
we'll talk through this now in terms of the hybrid, because we can draw them on here, okay? So I can do my little art attack. Right, so if we think the ball is there, this is the stance you have with was it 6, I think it was,
Yeah.
So it's just left to centre, okay, which is fine. Okay, the blue line now represents the pitching wedge, or 9-9, pretty much centre.
Yeah.
And then the red line represents your hybrid. With the red line to that yellow line, if that's the ball position now, okay, there you go, that ball's left to centre. The ball hasn't moved, your left foot hasn't moved, all that's happened is your foot has moved that way.
So it's a wider stance.
Yeah, which is, again, as the ball would, all that would happen, the ball would probably be a bit further away, it's a longer club obviously, so the ball goes further that way, the stance goes further that way, as the ball comes nearer, and then when you do chipping, we go the green line, the ball's still going to be there for a chip shot, and where's your right foot? It's there. Oh, now it's back in the stance.
Yeah.
Yes, it's still the same distance though from that lead foot. So your left foot and the ball kind of stay in the same relation the whole time. All that happens is your right foot moves in or moves away depending on the club. The only time it does move forward here is a driver or a specialist type of shot you're trying to play, like a high lob shot or something. But a general bog standard normal shot, doesn't really move it back and forth too much. So.
Right.
Does that make sense, yeah?
Yeah. No, it's just because some people tell me, you need to grip it, you need to be bring, you want to be hitting up on it.
Exactly. No, if the ball's on the ground, the club's got to be coming down that way. If you're up on it, you just top it.
Yeah.
If the ball's teed up, hit up on it, but the ball most of the time on the ground, so we're hitting down the ball slightly here. And even the tour players on the TV, their drive up angle is still 1 degree down on average. Some do it the ball up on the bottom, Bryson's and the big hit of the world, because hitting up goes further, hitting down goes straighter. Generally speaking, I mean, if the ball's on the ground, you've got to be coming down on it, to be fair. So, okay, right, here, couple one in, buddy, and we'll see how that goes from there, okay?